At the T-minus 3-minute mark, tape recorders on board the spacecraft were turned on. These recorders record both voice and data. We have ignition sequence. The engine's now building up to 7.7 million pounds of thrust. We have a launch commit and we have a liftoff. Moving back. The Saturn V lifting off the power.
This is WOMM LP operating out of Burlington, Vermont, 105.9 The Radiator. This is The Rocket Shop. I'm your host, Tom Proctor, and with me tonight is Steph Pappas. Steph, how's it going?
Hey.
we had a bit of a false start there, a few technical difficulties, but Steph, I talked to you about 2 years ago. You had your full band with you. Tonight you're playing some acoustic stuff. Very much looking forward to hearing some music, so if you'd like to take it away with your first song.
Here we are once again. And did people hear the part where I said, like you said, it's been 2 years?
Yes.
And I definitely did miss you, and I know you missed me too.
Also did Steph. We've been pining every single day.
All right, let's try this one. I've been singing and playing guitar in Texas. I do miss you. I've been singing with you. I've been singing and playing guitar in Texas. I'm running wild in all of your dreams. I feel you wanting me to. I want you to coast for a while, baby, cause all this love's gotta come back to you. If I tell you a secret, could you keep it? Somehow I think you already knew, which is whispered in the woods, wishes made on the moon. Dreams come true. Let's dance again in a tall grass field. Tell me again, you know it's all true. Did you know I planted those flowers for you? So when I'm gone, you just maybe have to think about me. Oh, babe, oh, babe, oh, babe, oh, babe. Na 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 na.
Steph Pappas, ladies and gentlemen. And what song was that called again?
I've been singing and playing guitar in Texas and missing you. So that was quite a segue. I've been singing and playing guitar in Texas is the name of the song.
It's we were saying just before you started that, you know, we actually spoke 2 years ago with the rest of your band, and you were actually mentioning last time we spoke how one of your big dreams was to go down to Austin and tour and play there. So is this a song that kind of came out of that experience?
This song I actually wrote when I was in Austin, Texas in 1990, and I've been playing it ever since.
Oh, wow.
And that was a tour.
Yeah.
I was on a tour and I actually lived there. I took a leave of absence from my job, driving a truck and working in a warehouse, and they were looking for people to actually leave or work part-time because they needed to save money or something, you know. So I volunteered. I said, I'll leave. And they're like, you're guaranteed a job when you come back. So I was gone for like 6 months, just living in Austin, Texas, maybe more. You know, It
Nice.
was really fun. Went through the winter. I went to Kerrville Folk Festival, got to play. John Gorker sat right next to me, and it was my turn on stage. And right before I went on stage, I got stung by a bumblebee. And luckily, when you're camping, you carry tobacco. So you put it on your sting, and it actually draws the sting out. And just like a minute later, I have to go up and play my set.
Life pro tip right there. I did not know that tobacco helps with bumblebee stings.
Well, I heard that way back then. You did a lot of camping. And
Yeah.
I think it really works because it lifted the sting out. Boy, did it hurt, though, when it happened. I was like, really? 2 minutes before I got to play? At Kerrville Folk Festival?
So it's the universe throwing you a curveball, right? The crucial moment right there.
Weird things happen. My first gig at Higher Ground, I make it to Higher Ground to go play the big club, you know, to a sold-out show. And wouldn't you know it, my amplifier breaks down. But I plugged into the direct box of some sort, a thing that you can plug into, and the sound man said, I'll try to make it nice and clean for you. And I'm like, no, make it sound ratty and dirty. I got, you know, some stuff on the floor that are guitar pedal boxes that can make your acoustic guitar sound like an electric guitar. Just give it some rat fuzzy tone to it. And I want the feedback. You know,
Yeah,
it's
you want to like grimy and gritty and real.
Yeah, and it worked. He was a great sound man, and I used the monitor as my amp.
Is this a theme? Is this before you go on any big on stage at any big gig? Is there some cataclysmic moment that happens to you, or was that just two isolated incidences?
Gee, I think it's probably a couple of isolated incidences because there's been other gigs where the equipment works fine. But, you know, actually back then, before 1990, I did have a lot of equipment problems because I buy stuff and it gets old, and I'd be kicking my boxes on stage to get them to work. And finally, it's like, I don't need to be a loop artist anymore, which now everybody's doing that. They want to be a loop artist. And back then, it was actually hard to be a loop artist because you had to step on those boxes and catch the beats just right. A loop artist, for people that don't know what that is, it means you're playing solo, but you make your guitar sound like there's 2 or 3 or 17 guitars going. You play something, and you step on the box, and that keeps going. So while that keeps going, you can play something over top of it, like, while this is still going like that. And then you add more stuff. So that's looping, and you can do... And do it with your voice, too, so you can sound like you're singing la, 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 and then la, 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 so you have harmonies. That's loop artist. And it requires a lot of gear, but I actually was pretty pared down to just a couple of delay boxes. And now that everybody's doing it, I don't want to really do the loop thing so much, so I got a band instead. So somebody else on the guitar can sit there, and you don't have to be on a loop all the time and do the same thing over and over again. I like to move it around a little bit more than just sticking on a loop. Oh, that's another thing. The loop that I used was called a cascading loop, so that things could fade out while you were playing a chord. It could fade out, and you could go into another loop. But today's loop stuff, it doesn't cascade, it doesn't fade out. You have to kind of have everything programmed in. And supposedly it's easier, looping is today. So I've gotten away from that. Get a band, you know?
It's got pretty popular, especially in terms of like bedroom recording artists, you know? Be able to create entire albums where it's just them playing on various instruments, sometimes just on like a MIDI keyboard or whatever. And, you know, creating incredible music. But you're right, it's very much in vogue right now. So it's interesting that you did it way back when it was really hard to do, and it required all this specialty equipment. And now that all the equipment's become easier or cheaper to get hold of, you're like, nope, we're going for the band.
I'm going for the band. Same with the way musicians dress now too. I used to dress with the cut off sleeves and the t-shirt and kind of more grunge looking, and now it's like no tears in your pants allowed, no shorts allowed on stage. You know, we kind of got to dress up a little bit, you know.
Make it an occasion. And how is your band? You're currently on tour, I believe.
The Jellyfish Tour.
Yes. And so is your band accompanying you with the tour, or is this a solo acoustic kind of gig?
What I do is I try to find people where I'm heading, like in Austin, there's a
Mm.
lot of people who are musicians there, and because I've lived there and I go back every year and play a couple times a year there, I know a lot of musicians, and I'll say, hey, you want to sit in with your banjo? Or bring your fiddle. So there'll be 3 of us, banjo, fiddle, and guitar. Or if I go to Toronto, Canada, I might know a bass player up there, and I'm like, bring the bass, you know? And you have to pretty much play by ear.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of people that can do that. You can do it and keep it simple, but for people to really get a lot of changes, that's really harder. So I wasn't doing a lot of my songs off the albums for a 7-year stint because I didn't really have a band. People would be, one person went off to college, another one had a baby, and things just happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured I would just grab people wherever I met them. Like out postering, someone's like, hey, oh, you're playing. Hey, I play drums. Well, the gig's tomorrow, you know, and there's a
Bring your
drum kit
sticks.
there.
Yeah.
It's stuff, I just threw it together like that. Unfortunately, the downside of that, Tom, is that I forgot a lot of my songs that
Yeah. I can imagine that.
I'm doing all impromptu.
Yeah.
Like this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
That
So it was very much like jamming then, basically. You know, you'd turn up and you'd have your drummer you met postering, and you had your guitarist that you called up as you're driving down to Texas, and you're kind of all like, right, well, we're all together now. Let's just see what magic we can create.
I would call it jam, and I mostly would call it impromptu.
Mm-hmm.
And if they were really good at it, we could get away from just 4-chord structures and stuff. And it's interesting. It's been fun. It keeps my writing in my head open so that it just keeps flowing instead of getting any kind of writer's block.
Does that mean that you, because I remember from our last conversation, you said you're rather genreless because you've done several different kind of you've worked in different areas of music across your career in terms of what genres. So by playing with other people all the time, does that keep you very, very open in terms of what you can play?
Let's see. A lot of players, it's hard to cross genres. So I ended up doing a lot of rock and blues, which was good because the audience kind of went for that in most of the places I went. But playing different venues, I have had to adapt a little bit. Like when Parima was open, now they're no longer. They had jazz nights, so I'd kind of do jazz.
Oh, wow.
And luckily, the band that I had with me, the drummer could play jazz because he's my original drummer that I met way back a long time ago in the 80s. So I do have an original first string drummer that's an authentic Steph Pappas Experience member, and his name's Matthew Nurback. And we still play to this day. And he was there that night, and he can play jazz, he can play any style. So when I got him with me, we can just about play anything at any gig. So some places where you book, they want more folk. They want more punk. I've been to punk clubs too, showing up with an acoustic guitar and a knapsack, and the fellers are going, you're at the wrong club. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm going to play this punk club. I'm in San Francisco. And they're like, no, you got an acoustic guitar. And I said, well, in the bag I got like a rat box and a delay, and it's going to fire up. It's going to be grunge, it's going to be punk, it's blues punk, you know? And they're like, no, you want the club down the street. I'm like, what club is that? And they said, oh, it's the gay bar. I'm like, no. That's not the one I'm looking for. They're not going to like this stuff down there. It's more disco. And
So do you kind of turn up and read the room, or is it, or what kind of venue you're going to, and it's like, right, I'm going to have this kind of set available for it?
Sometimes I would do that, the available set.
Yeah.
Because the gay crowd does like what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's just that what I was going with that night wasn't going to fit. And I was looking for the punk club, and I made it. And after the set, they were like, oh, man, sorry about that. But now I try to read the room.
Yeah.
It's that impromptu. I won't do so much cover tunes, but if someone's like yelling out Freebird or something, it's like I'll play something that's in that genre of a rock thing. And if they're like, oh, we like jazz scat, so I'll just start doing, my drummer will start playing some kind of jazz thing.
Nice little cheeky beat at the top behind it.
So I do try to read the room. I want to give the people what they want to hear, and make sure it's fun for everybody, and keeps me and the band on our toes.
And you've been doing this for years. So as you said, you picked up your original drummer from the mid '80s. So you must have.
Early 80s,
Early-
actually.
early
yeah,
80s.
wow. I'm thinking of early 80s. We're dating ourselves.
As someone who's been in the music industry for so long, 30 plus years, how has it evolved? Because we were talking a little bit before we came on air about the various social medias that everyone now has to use, and depending on what club you're playing at, depends on what kind of social media they're kind of asking you to promote. How's that different from back in the '80s and the way you managed to promote yourself back then?
This is going to sound ridiculous, but I'm not the only one that thinks this way, but I don't think things have really changed that much. Like, I find postering still is the best thing for me. Oh, I saw the poster, A lot of people will now say, oh, I saw your thing on social media. But the means have changed, and that's about it. Everything's still really the same. The record labels control the whole gamut, and you can do it yourself now. And I sit back and I laugh, and I'm like, I've been DIY, do it yourself, since I started doing this. I feel like nothing's changed.
So it's still kind of like just you and your friends, and you kind of turn up and you put your posters out there, and people turn up. There's not really much more to it.
Yeah, sometimes word of mouth is really good still. And yes, the social media, just because it's another avenue, and it's the same thing as postering.
Yeah.
It's just social media.
So basically, it's just an added way to
Just
promote
an
yourself.
added.
But it's not like the be-all and end-all now of social media. It's just
Exactly.
another addition to another way to get your name out there.
Exactly.
All right.
Maybe more people, like popular music. It grasps more people.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose it does make a difference if you're, Kanye West or something, putting something out on Instagram. For you just regular rock and roll stars, it's good to know that the analog ways are still kicking around.
Analog ways, yes, and I still would prefer recording analog, actually, too.
Yeah.
I still think it's better. I know some folks that are. One of my producers, Doug Lang, he's really good as an edit guy and a recording guy that can use a computer. I think it's hard to get that sound. A lot of people are getting better at it, but he was one of the first that were getting it and could do that digital thing really well.
All right.
I still prefer the analog. It's got that warmer sound. I don't mind cutting some tape to fit things together, although I've never had to do that unless the tape breaks. But tape is actually still, to this day, probably a better quality.
That's what I've heard. Vinyl as well, because it's not ones and zeros. You're getting the full groove and peaks of the music. It's not just kind of like
I
up
think
or down.
so. I mean, there's some good digital stuff out there.
Yeah.
But it's just what I prefer.
I suppose it depends on your genre. But talking about analog, let's hear a good analog track. What's your second of the night?
Let's see. What do we got for you? If I could just move this mic. I just need a little more space here. I'm moving the microphones away from where they were set, but I'm not going to do too much damage. I'm sitting at the edge of a chair that's got arms on it.
You do what you need to do.
I think you can all still hear me. Starts flowing down from top of the mountain. The river keeps flowing down. The river, the rhythm, the river, the rhythm. flowing down. The river keeps flowing down from top of the mountain. The river, the river. You can change the beat if you feel like it. You can change the beat if you feel like it. You can change the beat if you feel like it. And here it comes now. Yeah. You can change the beat if you feel like it. You could change the beat if you feel like it. The river, the rhythm. It's all flowing. It's all flowing.
Wow, remarkable set of lungs. I would have certainly passed out about halfway through that if I tried it.
I hope I hit 30 seconds. I wasn't counting.
I think definitely hit 30 seconds. What song was that called?
That's called Saibo the Guitar Player. Saibo is actually an Indian name from the Ottawa tribe, which I picked for myself when I was a campfire girl. And it means swift running water.
So
and I'm a water baby. I was born under a water sign, so that's how that
hence
happened.
the swift flowing water.
Yeah, I wrote a song for it.
Oh, wonderful. Is that one of the more relatively new ones? I don't notice on the back of the album Jellyfish.
It's an older song, actually. One of my way earlier songs. Being a kid and all, I had to, think of stuff to write from a younger standpoint. Yeah, definitely an earlier one.
Ooh. Quite glad we're going back to the nostalgic hits. I do notice on your website, stephpappas.com, you have still been coming out with singles past couple of years. And as I said, you're still on tour at the moment from your 2016 album. What's to come for the Steph Pappas? Have you got? Are you starting to bring these singles together into another album, or is it kind of just as and when you're going to throw stuff out these days?
I noticed that stuff is just starting to be singles now. Like everybody puts out an album, costs a lot of money. Singles were a lot cheaper, and everything's a single now, anyways.
Yeah.
So to speak. I still like the album concepts myself because it kind of tells a story. It kind of all goes together. It's supposed to be a concept, basically. But the singles were so I could also archive my live sound playing with all those different people I played with, almost a different person every show. So I have like 1,000 CDs from all my gigs. I was playing 3 times a week. And I just decided I'm going to take a song or two from each gig and then cut the CD up and throw it away because it's boxes full in my house.
Yeah.
It's just, it's ridiculous,
Taking a room.
you know, and I like to be kind of sparse and not have a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So these singles are from live shows, and it just kind of archives various shows and the different sounds. I mean, each single is pretty different from the next.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like, you know, this like almost like a Grateful Dead or Fish kind of idea of, you know, every single gig is this different experience and someone's got to archive down. And it's really interesting, the fact that you play with so many different musicians means that there's probably no one gig that sounds very similar to the other, because you're probably doing something different in each one.
Yeah, I haven't written that song or played that style until I've done that next gig.
Yeah,
so people listen to it that are going to book me, and they're like, oh no, that's too loud, oh no. But, you know, they haven't found the softer stuff. I got some of that thrown in there too.
Right.
And some stuff is jam sessions where I was in an actual studio, so the recordings are actually sounding pretty good because there was a real producer in there that was recording these jam sessions that I put together. And I didn't do it at a venue. I did it in a studio instead because I like to have multi-purposes. I don't like to just jam.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even do it in the house anymore. People are like, let's get together and jam. Nah, let's go to a gig and do it. At least we can get some tips, or we might get paid.
Free beer.
Or, you know, even if it's free, it's like, well, jam live.
Yeah.
And go from there. Plus, people will see you,
Yeah.
and you'll get other gigs from it.
Well, talking about the gigs, I do notice you are due to play at the Light Club Lounge Shop, which is one of my favourite venues personally, on Friday, May 4th, and you're there from 7 till 8. Any
Correct.
other gigs you've got coming your way? As you're still on tour, as I keep mentioning.
Yeah, I have other gigs after the Lamp Club Light Shop. I'm trying to do one a month there or at the Radio Bean.
Yep.
Because that's my favorite places too.
Yeah, it's a great venue, great energy.
Yeah, why is that?
I love seeing 1,000 lamps whenever I see someone perform, if we're going to be honest. My favourite question to anyone I take there for the first time is, which lamp would you buy? I think it's a very...
They are for sale.
They are for sale. I think it's a very revealing of someone's character when you go in there and what kind of lamp they're picking out and for what reason.
And they got good food, and they treat you fairly decent over there.
Well, that too, yes.
Even though it's tips.
Yeah.
But I fare out pretty good with the tips. A generous crowd. Thank you very much. And to my fans out there, they're wonderful. I just pass the hat around, and it seems to fare out. It's actually... It's a good deal, and I can walk down there because I live up the street. And that's
even
a big,
easier.
big plus. I don't have to worry about parking.
Yes, exactly.
Sometimes I do drive if I'm going to bring a lot of gear.
Mhm.
I have my foot pedals and fire up a little more. Recently, I've been playing with the acoustic guitar. Oh, I go back and forth, actually.
What kind of gig is going to be May 4th, or is that undecided as of yet?
Usually a few days before the gig, after I've been practicing, I'll be like, maybe I'll bring all this pedal board stuff. Maybe I'll bring the electric guitar with the whammy bar on it. Maybe I'll bring the acoustic. I'll tell you, when you travel or do gigs, the acoustic is my best bet, because if something goes wrong with the electronics in the room, you can't really plug in an electric guitar and play, or play it unplugged. It doesn't play well, but the acoustic has a lot of volume to it, and you can just play it into a room. So it's the way to travel.
Yeah.
If you're a musician, you should definitely bring your acoustic, because it's got multi-purposes. You know what I'm saying.
I'm telling you, it's analog. It still rules.
Yeah, and I can bring boxes to make it sound like an electric guitar,
There you go.
but the acoustic doesn't have the whammy bar.
No, yeah, that's true. You can't. Well,
And a whammy bar. Well, what's that? I think most people probably know what the whammy bar is. Like you hit a note. Wow. You know, a lot of that is in Hendrix's music.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
60s psychedelic rock, which I love.
Well, I was going to say, well, you have been, your moniker is the Jimi Hendrix little sister, I believe.
They call me the Jimi Hendrix baby sister, and that all started in Texas. I show up with what's called a wah-wah pedal, and it gets that wonk, 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 wonk. It's in a lot of funk music, but it was also in music from the psychedelic rock bands. Wah, wah, wah. And
Pretty sure it's the start of crosstown traffic.
oh, yeah. And they would hear that, producers at these festivals. So when they went to introduce me, I'd get the name my Ma and Pa gave me, Steph Pappas, but they'd say, oh, the Steph Pappas experience. If Jimi Hendrix was born female and alive today, it would be Steph Pappas. And so it all started around in 1990. So I just took it and started going that way. It's not like I chose it. I don't have that kind of ego or big head or, think somebody's whatever. It just went with it.
Yeah, well, nicknames choose you, and it's a good one. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. I know. Unfortunately, also, Bob is not here to play this last song, and I am useless at this technology. So would you mind playing us out with an acoustic?
Oh, where did he go? CD. We need to play a CD.
I will...
to show off some of the live singles.
I will attempt.
But he disappeared.
He did disappear.
But while you're attempting...
And
yes,
we're
going to play
meanders back to the control station.
We're going to play this now?
We are going to play this.
So
this is from
those mics down.
A live gig.
I'll leave her up for a second.
Singles.
All right, so it's Steph Pappas. Coming up next, we've got Tom Piero. Steph, thank you so much for coming on. I really do appreciate it. And next year, we're gonna have to you're gonna have to come on sooner than 2 years.
Yeah. Don't make me miss you again. Thank you so much for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been
You're
great.
awesome.
All right, what's this last song? Introduce it as we.
Let's see what
play
it is. It's a live song played at a live venue somewhere locally near Burlington, Vermont. It's got. It was a songwriter in the rounds. So it's my turn in the round. I'm playing something, and the fellas who were in the round decided to just join me. They kind of looked at me, and I gave them the yes, go ahead. I think it's got Dave Keller. Mm-hmm. It's got NATO, and his last name is Groton, Raphael Groton.
All right. Well, it's a hell of a title. So let's we'll take it away.
It's called Drive Johnny Drive.
Drive Johnny Drive.
And it's my song. I'm playing a lead in there, and Dave Keller also plays a little lead in there.
All right. Let's hear it.